The Galactic Survival Academy prided itself on preparing students from across the known species for the dangers that lurked on unexplored worlds. Today's lesson, recognizing predator vocalizations that signaled immediate danger. Professor Crixtal, a methodical Valorian whose species had evolved on a relatively peaceful forest world, dimmed the lecture hall lights. 200 students from 40 different species settled into their seats, sensory organs primed for the lesson ahead. Today, Crixtal began, his translator rendering his clicking speech into standard galactic. We will study the warning calls of apex predators. These sounds have been compiled from the most dangerous worlds in charted space. When you hear these vocalizations in the field, protocol demands immediate evacuation to your shuttle. He gestured at the holodisplay. First, we have the Thoraxian maw beast. The speakers crackled to life with a deep, resonating roar that shook the very air in the chamber. Several students instinctively activated their personal shield generators. Others clutched their desks, eyes wide with primal fear. Note the subharmonic frequencies, Crixtal lectured. Designed to paralyze prey through auditory overstimulation. Encountering this creature means certain death without heavy weapons. He moved to the next file. The Krillian Duskstalker. A series of high-pitched shrieks filled the room, each one layered with clicking sounds that seemed to come from multiple directions at once. A Piscian student in the third row fainted, their feathers puffing out in a fear response. In the back row, sitting alone as usual, was the human exchange student, James Rivera. He was scrolling through his data pad with mild interest, occasionally glancing up at the speakers. The Duskstalker hunts in packs of 20 to 30, Crixtal continued. This vocalization means you are already surrounded. Survival rate, less than 2%. More recordings followed. The guttural snarls of the methane ripper. The bone-chilling howls of the void runner. The wet, gurgling screams of the deep-sea render. Each one prompted visible terror in the assembled students. Then Crixtal pulled up a new file. Now, this next recording is particularly disturbing. It was recovered from an abandoned research station on a Class 7 death world. The research team did not survive. The creature responsible has never been identified, but analysis suggests an ambush predator of extraordinary cunning. He pressed play. The sound that filled the lecture hall was unlike anything the students had heard so far. It started as a high-pitched wail, almost like a juvenile in distress, then descended into a series of haunting screams that sounded disturbingly like a sentient being in agony. The cries echoed, each one building on the last, creating a cacophony of terror that seemed to pierce directly into the brain's fear centers. Students across the hall activated emergency comm inducers. The Thesian delegate triggered their personal distress beacon by accident. Even Professor Crixtal looked unsettled, his skin shifting to a pale yellow stress color. Then, from the back of the room, came a sound that made everyone freeze. Laughter. James Rivera was chuckling, shaking his head with an amused expression. Mr. Rivera, Crixtal's voice carried a sharp edge of disapproval. I fail to see what is humorous about the sound of an apex predator that killed an entire research team. James looked up, still smiling. Sorry, Professor, but that's just a cougar. The translator struggled with the word. Several students checked their data pads for the term. A cougar. Crixtal repeated. Please elaborate. Yeah, a mountain lion. Puma concolor. We've got them all over North and South America on Earth. That screaming sound. That's just how they vocalize. Sounds scary, sure, but they're really not that dangerous to humans. The lecture hall erupted in confused chatter. Not dangerous. A Krajani student's voice trembled. That sound suggests a creature of immense psychological warfare capabilities. James shrugged. I mean, they can be dangerous if you surprise one or threaten their cubs. But attacks on humans are super rare. We've got, like, maybe 20 fatal attacks in over 100 years across 2 continents. You're statistically more likely to be killed by a domestic dog, a bee sting, or lightning. Professor Crickstow's skin had now shifted to a confused purple. Mr. Rivera, you're telling me that this creature, which produces what our analysis indicates is one of the most psychologically disturbing vocalizations in our database, is considered harmless. I wouldn't say harmless, James corrected. But yeah, pretty much. They're actually pretty shy. They usually run away from humans. My uncle saw one while hiking once. He just made himself look big, made some noise, and it took off. Your uncle encountered this creature and lived? A Valaxian student asked in disbelief. Oh sure. Lots of people see them. There are tons of videos online. Hikers, campers, people in rural areas. Some people in Colorado have them walk through their yards. You just don't approach them, and you're fine. Crickstow pulled up another file with trembling digits. Perhaps that was an anomaly. Let us proceed. This next recording comes from the same world, this class 7 death world you call Earth. It was recorded in a region designated Australia. The creature is unknown, but the rescue team reported feeling watched by hundreds of unseen eyes. The speakers emitted a chorus of manic, chattering laughter mixed with whooping calls. It sounded like a crowd of unhinged beings working themselves into a frenzy before an attack. Several students immediately stood, preparing to leave the lecture hall. James leaned back in his chair. Oh, that's just kookaburras. They're birds. The exodus stopped. Birds, someone squeaked. Yeah, they're actually really cool. They laugh like that at dawn and dusk. Territorial thing. Completely harmless. We used to have them in the trees around my school. You'd hear them every morning. Professor Crickstow was now cycling through several colors at once. Birds. Harmless birds. Well, they can eat snakes and lizards, so not completely harmless to small animals. But to people? Yeah, they just sit in trees and laugh at you. It's kind of funny once you get used to it. The professor opened another file, determination in his movements. Very well. This recording is from the same world, but a different region. The creature was never seen, only heard. The survey team called for immediate evacuation. A deep, resonating bellow rolled through the speakers, followed by grunting roars that spoke of something massive and aggressive. It sounded like a creature that could tear through durasteel with its bare claws. Alligator, James said immediately. Or maybe a crocodile, depending on where it was recorded. They bellow during mating season. And these creatures? Crickstow asked, his voice taking on a desperate quality. Oh, those are actually dangerous. Apex predators, ambush hunters, bite force of like 3,000 pounds. They've been around for millions of years, basically unchanged because they're already perfect predators. The class relaxed slightly. Finally, the human was showing proper respect for a. But they're also pretty easy to avoid, James continued. Don't swim in murky water where they live, don't hang out near the water's edge, and you're good. We have millions of people living in areas with alligators. Kids learn the rules in elementary school. There are maybe 10 fatal attacks a year across the entire species range. 10, per year. Crickstow's voice was faint. Out of how many encounters? Oh, millions probably. People play golf near them, take pictures, even feed them, which is illegal and stupid, by the way. But yeah, they're really only dangerous if you're being an idiot. A Thesian student raised a tentacle. Mr. Rivera, you're describing a world filled with creatures that produce some of the most terrifying vocalizations in the known galaxy, ambush predators that have remained evolutionarily static for millions of years, and psychological warfare specialists that mimic distress calls. And you're saying, humans just live alongside them? Oh, that's nothing, James said cheerfully. We haven't even gotten to hippos, cassowaries, or box jellies yet. Or the really scary stuff like mosquitoes. Mosquitoes? Several students checked their translators, confused by the term. Tiny flying insects. They kill about 700,000 humans per year through disease transmission. The lecture hall fell silent. 700,000, Krickstow repeated slowly. Per year. And you still live on this world? I mean, where else would we go? James looked genuinely confused by the question. It's home. You just learn what's dangerous, take precautions, and get on with life. Besides, most of Earth's animals are pretty cool once you understand them. The sounds that scare you guys are just nature. Background noise. Professor Krickstow looked at his data pad, then at James, then back at his data pad. Mr. Rivera, I'm going to need to recalibrate our entire curriculum. It appears that 17 of our apex predator vocalizations are from Earth, and according to you, most of them are considered not that dangerous. Oh yeah, which ones? I might be able to help identify them. As James made his way to the front of the class, students parted like water around a stone. The human who laughed at predator sounds was now going to teach them about his world. By the end of the session, Professor Krickstow had reclassified Earth from a Class 7 death world to a Class 9, added a warning label to the entire Sol system, and submitted a proposal to the Galactic Council suggesting that humans be given hazard pay for simply existing. James, meanwhile, had made a note to bring in his collection of camping trip recordings for the next class. He had a really good one of wolves howling that the professor would probably find interesting. After all, wolves were just dogs that hadn't moved in yet. What was scary about that?